Okay. And I will start the Zoom in 30 seconds.
Hours, consulting with the rain, and my head I'd be scratching, while my thoughts were busy hatching.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time zone you happen to be in. Welcome to Leaders Worldwide. I'm your Sergeant at Arms, Isaac Ford. And if you are a guest, please put a G in front of your name. Or if you have a role tonight, please put that in your name. Club mission. We provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop self-communication and personal growth, core values, excellence, respect, service, and integrity. Now, it is my pleasure to introduce our charter president, Cynthia Stott. You have the podium, Cynthia.
Thank you, Isaac. Awesome. And I'm the charter president, and we chartered on October 23rd, 2020. So we have an anniversary coming up, and we're going to be celebrating on October 24th at the afternoon at 10:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. Pacific time. So woohoo, so excited. We have a wonderful opportunity today. We have a great keynote speaker, and she's one of our guests. Could we get a G? No, she's not a guest. She's a member. That's right. Awesome, Seema. And so I want to introduce some of our guests. We have a recurring guest, which is Roger. Roger, would you like to introduce yourself? Roger, are you there? Are you available to talk? Okay, let's go to another guest, Elios. Elios, are you free to introduce yourself?
Yes, for a while. Okay, hello everybody, Leaders Worldwide. Here I'm from India, District 7, Surabaya. I have been Toastmaster for 2 years, and I have been doing several keynote speeches, workshop speeches, educational speeches, panel discussion about podcasting, humor, and soft skills. And that's all. Back to you, Cynthia.
Great. And what country did you say you were from?
Indonesia.
Indonesia. I thought you said India, but I know you're from Indonesia. Okay, great. Awesome. Welcome, welcome. And Roger, are you available to talk with us? Roger? Do you want to unmute yourself? Maybe he's not available. Okay, we have one more guest, Carlos Razanza. Would you like to unmute and introduce yourself? Welcome, Carlos.
I'm glad to be here. Good evening. Good evening. Greetings to all the people gathered around. It's nice to be here. I am really glad to be here with all of you. I would like to learn from all of you. So I'm totally glad to be here tonight.
Awesome. And where are you from?
I am from Ecuador, South America. South America.
Awesome. Awesome. South America. Great. Ecuador. Awesome. Awesome. Right on the equator there. Great. And so without further ado, who is our Toastmaster today? I'm sorry, I can't see.
That would be me.
Isaac, our Toastmaster of the day. And that's why it says TMOD in front of your name, right?
Yeah.
Welcome.
Little clue.
Our amazing Toastmaster of the day. Take it away, Isaac.
Great. Thank you for that, Madam Charter President. Today, we are going to have a fantastic meeting. Our theme is write your own script. I would suggest you do that because I've seen so many documentaries where other people have written the script for someone. So it would be a good idea to write your own script. So how the meeting is going to go is we're going to have a evaluator to evaluate the meeting. And we're going to have 2 great speeches and a keynote speaker. So now I would like to introduce the general evaluator who will let you know what she's going to be doing. And that would be Cassandra. Cassandra, you have the podium.
Uh-oh, wrong. Come on, Cassandra.
Got it. Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Cassandra Garabedian, and tonight I will be assessing how the meeting will be ran from the beginning to the end. All the things that's in the middle, from the keynote speaker, from how we organize the meeting, from the evaluations of the meeting, how we're going to evaluate the meeting, how we're going to do our table topics, the timing of the meeting, how the use of our time,
I have it on.
as well as how we perform in our delivery. So from here, I will hand it back to who's next?
That would be me. Thank you very much, Cassandra.
Okay.
Okay, at this point, though, I would like to introduce our grammarian tonight. So Sally, would you let us know what you're going to be doing?
Yes, it's my job to listen carefully, and when people have filler words such as and, so, but, that they pause and try to get their frame of reference back. I'm going to remind you of how many times you might have a habit of using the same word or several words instead of keeping the continuity of your thought going. And we do it with love, and we amazingly are becoming terrific at not using them. And my other job is our word of the day, which is creativity. The original ideas, the use of the imagination, especially in the production of artistic work. Thank you. Let's use that word in each of our speeches or introductions of ourselves. Thank you. It is a creative moment. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Great. Thank you for that, Sally. And hopefully I will be a little creative tonight as your Toastmaster. I'll work on that. Our second functionary will be the timer. Maureen, Xavier, would you let us know what you're going to be doing tonight?
Absolutely, Isaac. Thank you so much. My role is to help the speaker know where they are in their speech in relation to timing, to give them an indicator of where they are, and to help us keep on time, because we all can become more proficient in knowing what 5 to 7 minute speeches are, as well as table topics, as well as as keynote speaking. And how I do that is, number one is I will, and I'm actually going to do it. Well, am I going to do it now? I'm going to be showing backgrounds. So the green background will be at 13 minutes for Seema Giri, who is our keynote speaker, and yellow at 14 minutes for Seema, and red for 15 minutes. I will be announcing before each one of the speeches for the other speakers what their timing is. So I will give you the timing and the colors right before they speak at the 5, 6, and 7 minute benchmarks, as well as for table topics. And I will be raising my hand, and I'm finding down here on the bottom. I will be raising my hand when the speakers are starting. So I should be showing up in your top left screen so the speakers can see me, so they won't lose track of where the timing is. That is what I will be doing. And at the end, I'll also be giving a timing report for, depending upon where we are on each individual person's time, and or the overview of whether we all kept on time or not. That is my role as timer. Back to you, Isaac.
Great, thank you for that. Now we're down to the speaker portion. And our keynote speaker tonight is Seema Giri. She's a 4-time international best-selling and award-winning author who co-authored The Authorities, which is the New York Times best-selling author, John Gray, Mars and Venus series, where she shares her transformation from being bedridden from autoimmune disease to becoming a successful entrepreneur. Seema believes that everyone has an exceptional story, has led her to help 65 people share their wisdom from life-altering experiences to inspire others through their storytelling platform in less than 2 years. Over the last 20 years, she has helped nearly 100,000 leaders tap into their inner power so they become unstoppable in business and in life. Welcome. The title, Become an Author and Amplify Your Message. Seema Giri, you have the podium.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ford. I know that was a mouthful. I am so happy to be here to speak to you today about becoming an author and amplify your message. So who is ready to become unstoppable? Raise your hands. Yes, great. Thank you. And I know you all are unstoppable because you are amazing speakers. I can't tell you the amount of time people have come up to me and have said to me, Seema, I've always wanted to write a book, or my dream before I transition to the next world is to write a book. Let me ask you, how many of you have always wanted to write a book? Can you raise your hand? And I would be curious to know, to understand, why haven't you written it yet? What has held you back from writing your book? Please let me know in the chat. Let's see if I can look at that. Let me know in the chat what has held you back from writing your book. And don't be shy, because all of us have experienced that at some point, even me. And I have found that most people are hesitant because of these 4 reasons. First is overwhelm. They don't know how to go about it. There's so much information out there. Everyone is saying something different. And I have found that many people don't even believe they have an amazing story, that their story really matters and they can really help someone else overcome their challenge. And the second is vulnerability. Because when you're sharing in your book, you're talking about yourself in ways that you don't normally talk about it on a day-to-day basis. And they're afraid that, I'm going to be seen in a different light. I'm going to be sharing more details of my life. What are people going to think? Will I be even able to share it that way, in the way it's intended? And will it really help someone else? So when you're writing a book, you are sharing about your life, some aspects that you don't regularly talk about. So that can be a little bit scary. And then comes the third one, is the imposter syndrome. Have you ever tried to do something new or something that you really wanted in your heart, but you stopped yourself because you thought, who am I to be doing this? Who am I to be writing a book? I am not Tony Robbins. I'm not this great person that has accomplished so many amazing things. We hold ourselves back because we get into that comparison state that I'm not good enough, or who do I think I am? And maybe judgments of what other people think. Perhaps maybe when you wanted to do something, you voiced it and people are like, I wonder who she thinks she is to write a book. And that has stopped me for a long time as well. And the fourth reason is they don't know what a book can do for them. Right? They don't know the possibilities that can open up because of their book. I know there's several authors in here. Kudos to you. Maybe later you can share your experience. So let's talk about the benefits of becoming an author. A book really changes how you are perceived in your marketplace. You gain instant credibility, and it positions you as the authority in your field. Or rather, I should say, it positions you as a go-to authority in your field. Right? You may consider yourself as an expert in your field, but the perception in the marketplace is that if someone is an author, they consider them as an expert or the authority. If someone's been on TV, they've seen them several times, or on different media, articles, magazines, that's the perception in the marketplace. So when you become a best-selling author, a published author, then the perception is there for you as well. You can leverage your book to attract people to your business that are interested in working with you at the back end into your programs. So you won't make a lot of money in the front end selling your books and the number of copies. You'll get some royalties, but the royalties are basically pennies. So you're really using the book as a tool to position yourself as a go-to authority in your field, and use it as a lead magnet to attract the right kind of people that you want to work with in your target audience and bring them into the different amazing programs that you are offering. Your book could be potentially the key to your 7-figure business, key to increasing your impact, influence, and income that you desire to make. So let's take a look at, for example, John Maxwell. He is known as a leadership guru now, but he wasn't always like that. In the beginning, he was a preacher in a church in a small town. And things really started changing for him when he started to write books. It really expanded his reach, and he was able to impact many more people. And now I believe he writes a book a year. Imagine that, a book a year, because he's really able to capture all of his audiences through his speaking, through his books. Not everyone will go to hear him speak, but there are a lot of people, there's a good segment in the market that are interested in reading and getting to know you over a period of time. Another example is Susie Orman. And what's interesting about her is when she wrote her first book, she got some traction, but when things really started moving for her was when she wrote her second book. And then that really took her career to the next level. We also have people like Dave Ramsey. You've heard he has written several books as well in the finance industries. There's so many examples out there for people who really have made it big because of their books. I have a co-author. She participated in my leadership book last year. She's an entrepreneur, a social media expert, and speaker. And she is using the book for lead generation. She said, Seema, I'm so excited that this tool is working so much better than some of my other lead generation mechanisms, because people are really getting to understand what I do before they reach out and talk to me. And when they do talk to me, it's the right fit, and she's getting a lot more enrollments in her programs. So that is really how to utilize your book. She's using it at different speaking engagements in different ways. Sometimes she's selling the book, sometimes she's giving it away. So you get to determine how you want to utilize the book. Now, I believe you, as the amazing speakers that you are, have an advantage over others. Let me see. Marina, there you are. You have an advantage over others to become an author. And here's why I say that. You have already created the foundation. The biggest thing for an author is to have a foundation, which is their platform, right? How much people, what is your email list size? What is your social media reach? The more reach you have, the more easier it is to sell your books and connect to people. So you already have that. You have spoken at different places. You have your content on your message. The toughest part is to get the clarity enough to hone down on your message and really have that connect to your audience. So you already have that done because of the several speaking engagements that you have done. You have your brand to a certain degree created already. Your content is also vetted by your target audience. It's proven that your content is needed and you have refined it over time. Okay? So a chapter, the length of a chapter, how I can relate, since Cynthia has been talking about doing TEDx talks, right? Creating your TEDx speeches. A good length of a chapter is the size of a TEDx speech. So here, you can be killing two birds with one stone, right? Meeting two goals with one. So as you're writing your book, imagine if it's 12 chapters, that's 12 TEDx speeches. You've got that down, and you can apply to several different places to do your TEDx. So let's make next year, 2023, for all of us to do TEDx speeches and publish our books, become the best-selling author, and make a great impact in the world. That's what Toastmasters is all about. So you're already halfway there. And you can leverage your book for many more opportunities, right? If you're not a speaker, then you get speaking opportunities. If you are a speaker, you can you can get paid speaking opportunities or increase your fees of speaking, right? You can do collaborations, JV partners. The possibilities are endless based on your creativity level, right? So let your imagination run wild, get creative. What can you do? There's so many authors here. I know I have Maureen here. She was part of my leadership book as well. Maybe she would like to share later, Life After Becoming a Best-Selling Author. My first book that I wrote with the authorities was an extension of my wellness signature speech. When I healed from my autoimmune disease, I wanted to share with the rest of the world, this is what I've done, this is how I did it, and this is how you can prevent yourself from burning out and creating this lifestyle disease. So it took me a matter of 30 days to refine that even more, add a few more stories and anecdotes, and share my story in my chapter, Break Free from the Pain Cycle of my journey of being bedridden to becoming an active mom, wife, and a successful entrepreneur. So that's how quickly you can get it done. Another co-author, she was in my Break Free to Health and Vitality anthology. She joined that book the day before the chapters were due, the day before the co-author were supposed to submit their chapters. She was able to do this because she was a speaker. She had an amazing health journey on which she was already speaking on. She made a few tweaks and it became a chapter. So I hope you can see the big hint that I'm giving you. You can repurpose your content. Repurpose your content. You don't have to recreate the wheel. How exciting is that? Raise your hands. Yes, Maureen, thanks. That is so exciting. You're already halfway there. So why not expand into the other side, right? And get your book out. Write your own script, right? Write your own script so you can do it and use it in other ways. Now, there are two ways you can do this. You can write your own solo book with, any length of chapters. The book can be, people are doing these days from 60 pages to 100 pages, to a little bit bigger than that. I wouldn't recommend more than that. You can write your own solo book, or you can also participate in an anthology, which is a collaboration book, a multi-author book. There are immense benefits to both. Let me start with the anthology. In both books, you own the rights to your content. In an anthology, you're writing 1 to 2 chapters, depending on the compiler. You write your chapter based on the overall theme and the title, which the compiler creates, like me. And you write from your perspective under that theme, and you write the title of your own chapter. What's really great about this is you're leveraging everyone's network. You get to be known in other networks that you ordinarily would not have been known in. And likewise for your co-authors. And you get to have this great network that's co-marketing with you. So it helps you reach the next higher level. That's how we're able to reach the #1 international bestselling status. As a solo book, it's your baby, and you get to do multiple things, same opportunities as the anthology book. The only difference is that it is a little bit more costlier, but you have your own solo book with your name on the front. The different types of publishing. You can do traditional publishing, where you write a book proposal and you submit it to them and you keep your fingers crossed that you will get selected. Or you can take the power in your own hands and do self-publishing. But if you think you need some support, you can go with a hybrid publisher such as me, that's what I am, where you get all the back-end support in publishing, plus coaching and mentoring in the book writing process. And you get to leverage their expertise and network as well. So I would like to close with this. If you are in business, you're a coach, consultant, speaker, that means 2 things. You want to make a bigger impact and help people realize their potential. And you want to create a lifestyle of your choice, which means income. For both of these things, you have to reach more people. So with the book, you are tapping into another segment of your market that absorbs information visually through reading. Perhaps you're leaving money on the table. If you'd like to talk about your own specific situation, I would love to talk to you. Thank you. Back to you, Toastmaster.
Great. Thank you for that speech, Seema. So now we're going to put 1 minute on the clock to write your, I'm sorry. So at this time, we're going to have a Q&A from our founding president, Cynthia Stott.
Thank you, Isaac. Awesome speech, Seema. Let's give her another round of applause. Woohoo! That was amazing. And after we're done with the Q&A, if you could put your contact information in the chat in case anybody has any questions. So if you have a question or a comment, please put in the chat. What do you want to know about becoming an author? Do you have any questions around an anthology or a chapter book versus your own book? Oh, here's one from Michelle. Seema, I love the way you made writing the book so simple. Use your speeches. 50 to 100 seems doable. 50 words to 100 words. Great. I guess that's words. So a 7-minute speeches are about 100 words a minute. So a 7-minute speech is between 700 and 800 words. So we had one one client I had last year, she was a writer in a magazine and she did 750 words in the magazine. So she wrote speeches and turned them into the articles. And then when she had a longer speech, because she was in a chapter book, and I think it was 2,500 words, she did a 20-minute speech and then she turned that into her chapter book. So awesome.
Right.
And
And it's 5,200 pages.
oh,
not words.
pages. I'm sorry. Yes, pages. That makes sense. So about how many? About 2,500 words, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then Michelle asked, please tell us more about the value a publisher like you, not only in publishing, but also in promoting, etc. That's an issue. A lot of the publishing houses don't do promoting, and you do, I take it.
Yes. So that's one of the offerings. Yeah, most of the traditional publishing house, they look at your platform to see how big is your platform, because they really use your platform, your connections.
And
that
can
was
you
one of the
explain what a platform is?
So a platform means how your email, it's a combination of your email list, your social media reach, any way you reach out to people, how big is that list? So how much are you communicating with your target audience? How those are the interested people that are most likely to buy. So we have a lot of connections, but how much of them are actually engaging with you? So the more engaged audience you have, the more easier it is to sell your books. Now, you can do paid promotions. If you don't have a large audience, it's okay, because you can do paid promotions. You can participate in anthologies, which you leverage everyone's network. So if everyone has, 500 to 2,000, 4,000, 5,000 connections, you get to leverage on each other's and share that out. Was that the question?
Yeah. And then what do you do to promote as a publisher?
Okay, so I have a global network, in different countries, specifically Europe, India, and the US. So when you're working with me, you also get to leverage my network as well. So we very actively do a book launch campaign, the best-selling campaign with focus, and we create all the materials for you. We create all the languaging for you and share that with you for you to share that with everyone else. Plus, we use our own network as well.
Awesome. Awesome. And then we have a couple more questions here. Oh, Sandra Edwards says, you inspire me to write a book. Awesome.
Yay!
Yay! And Rosalind Kahn says she entered late, but it sounded great. She really loved it. Awesome. Any more questions we have? Anybody have?
Yeah, it's Maureen.
Yes.
What would you say is the leap that one goes through for a person that's already participated in an anthology to go to actually writing their own whole book?
It's up to the individual. Some people I had a client who signed up for all my anthologies plus a solo book. So she's working on that. You don't have to have a big time gap to start writing your book. But some authors like to be in several anthologies because it helps them write, and then they can combine those different chapters together. Or you can use your first chapter and then build on that. So it's up to you. You can write a book in 90 days, or you can, take 9 years. It's just on your motivation and how the time commitment that you want to give it.
Thank you.
Great.
And I would add, based upon your business goal as well, but there's no set time. It's not like you have to wait a year, 2 years, or 6 months after your anthology.
Okay, and we have one more question from Monto. If you want to unmute your mic and ask your question real quick. Monto?
Yes, actually, I want to ask anyone. Would you suggest me actually, like if I want to improve my communication, so how can I speak clear word?
Okay, so your question, I would say join Toastmasters. You're going to get a lot of benefit from Toastmasters in learning how to communicate. So you're an English language learner and you want to learn more English, right? So
Yes, that's
join
correct.
Toastmasters, and then you'll get a mentor and you'll be giving speeches on a regular basis. Maybe you'd be a little advanced for you to write a book. So great. Thanks for coming.
Okay,
Okay.
thank
And make
you.
sure to listen in. And Alpana has one last question. Okay. Carolyn Douglas has a question here. If you choose self-publishing, what is the average cost? And then Alpana says, how much content does one add to an anthology chapter versus a full book? Oh, okay. So this might go into the break. Can you answer something quickly, or do you want to just go to the break and then you can answer in the break, and we can keep the recording running?
Yeah, I'm happy to do either. We
Okay.
can do it during the break.
Yeah, let's do it during the break, and we'll keep the recording running. So back to you, Isaac.
Great, thank you, Cynthia. Okay, we're gonna have a 5-minute break at this time. So Maureen, would you put 5 minutes on the clock?
Great.
And we're a little ahead of schedule from the agenda, so we've got a couple minutes of time flexibility.
Okay, great.
Okay, so to answer the question for self-publishing, it can cost, if you're doing everything, self-publishing means you're doing everything on your own, right? But where authors make a mistake is that they don't get it professionally edited and formatted and proofread and all that. I would highly recommend that. And that ranges from 1,000 to 2,000, depending on who you are selecting, right? And cover art, your book cover art. Many people try to just do a simple thing and put it together themselves. I highly recommend that you get that professionally designed, because, we say don't judge a book by its cover, but we do it all the time. That's like the first impression, right? It's the first impression. So you're working so hard to get it done. Make sure you get that your book cover done professionally, and your book edited, proofread, edited, formatted professionally as well. So there's a big range depending on the expertise, depending on really how do you want to market it, how do you want to utilize your book. Everyone has a different way. You just want to how majorly wide you want to go. So I think the cost would determine all of those things. But the biggest thing is getting it done. If you can, I'm sure, Carolyn, you can do this, pace yourself enough to actually get it done, set a deadline and work backwards on that. So does that help? Okay. And then the second question was
content. How much content in an anthology versus your own book?
Okay, so yeah, it depends from compiler to compiler. So for me, I have you write a chapter of 2,500 words. I was giving options of 1,500 to 2,500, but I was lovingly encouraging to 2,500. So I don't even say 1,500 anymore, it's 2,500. Your own book can be up to 25,000 to 30,000 words. That's about 8 to 10 chapters, 8 to 12 chapters. Not every chapter has to be, the same size. Some content that you're writing might require a little bit more content, might require you to go a little more in depth. But smaller books, because of people's attention span, is working really well these days. And then in that you can I suggest to people to write around 3 main things in your business, because you're really using it as a lead generation and people get to understand what are you working on. So, I say discover, develop, and deliver, right? You discover your story, your main things, what is it that you want to write about, owning your story, design it in a way, what are the outlines and what are the topics you want to cover, and then deliver it to your audience. And then I would be talking about it in those three things. So if you can come up with an alliteration, which people really understand easier, and you write around that, that's a good one too, a good way to do it as well. So it's really up to you, because it needs to feel complete for you as well. You need to, when you're writing your story, you want to make sure you are hitting that radio station, WIFM, what's in it for me. No one really, as amazing as your story is, and as amazing as your story needs to get out, no one is interested in your memoir, right? Unless you're really huge. How they're interested in your memoir is through how the process you took yourself through to come from the challenge, you cross that bridge to this place where you're creating a life that you want, how you went through that, and your stories in between, so they can relate to you, see themselves in your story, and be able to take that action to get across that bridge as well.
I'm
And that's what
glad you mentioned that.
Yeah.
A lot of people are saying memoirs, and no one is interested in your memoir unless you're Dr. Martin Luther King or
Exactly.
Maya Angelou. So talk about your transformation. They'd be interested in that.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that's
Can
called
I
a
just
teaching
jump in
memoir.
for a second?
Yeah.
Oh, is it Alpana?
Thanks.
Yes.
Yes, it's Alpana. Hi. Thanks so much, Seema. This was super helpful. So I'm actually a part of our anthology right now, which is my first one. And I feel like maybe I am packing in too much. So which is why, I mean, it's not so much about the number of words, but actually what those words should contain, and how much of my story should I tell in those words. So that's kind of where I was at. But some of what
Yeah.
you just said
It
was
needs to
super
be
helpful.
relevant to what you're trying to get the message across, right?
Right.
Your story needs to match the message you're trying to get across. And in my anthologies, I say, about three main points, right? If you want to go in a little bit more detail, or up to 5 if you don't want to dive too much in detail, and then you create relevant stories around that.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thanks so much.
You're
This was
welcome.
helpful.
I'm so
Great.
glad. Thank you so much.
Now we will reconvene the meeting. Our speaking section is getting ready to begin. So Maureen, would you tell us the time frame for the first speaker?
Yes, so our first and second speaker both have 5 to 7 minute speeches today. At the 5-minute mark, I will show the green background. At the 6-minute mark, I will show the yellow background. At the 7-minute mark, I will show the red background. And within official Toastmasters guidelines, they each have up to 7 minutes and 30 seconds to be within official timing. Back
Great.
to you, Toastmaster Isaac.
Great, thank you for that. Okay. The first evaluator, Rosalind Khan, will be evaluating Sandra Edwards.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. My name is Rosalind Khan, and I will be evaluating Sandra. She's going to be speaking with Connecting with Storytelling. The title of her speech is The Top 1 MS Lead 3. The purpose of this project is for members to practice using a story with a speech or giving a speech that is a story. There we have it. Thank you. Looking forward to hearing you, Sandra.
Great, thank you. Okay, Sandra's experience from a stroke gave her some insight that might be helpful to you or your family. Sandra Edwards, I had a stroke. I had a stroke. Sandra Edwards.
Thank you, Isaac. I had a stroke on March 3rd, 2014. And I'm going to tell you about my experience. It was Sunday morning. was getting ready for a network meeting. You know, it was going to be brunch and afternoon. It was going to be so much fun. But oh gosh, I'm feeling so weird. What is going on? I keep spilling my coffee and gosh, finally get out the door and drive to my destination, walk into the house, and everybody's greeting me. Sandra, it's been so long. Give me a hug. Hi, Sandra. How are we doing today? Everybody's greeting me. And I just can't respond. Like my mouth and my mind, they don't seem to be working together. I know this thing so well. Throughout the day, I was just not with it, just not there. I was in a bubble that I just couldn't break through. But I got through the day okay, and nobody noticed that there was anything wrong. So I guess I pulled that off, huh? Well, I had to stop at the store on the way home. I was supposed to get something. Now, what was it? Bread? Something to drink? Well, I got home with a few things. My daughter was there cooking. She and her brother were going to be there with me. We were going to watch the Academy Awards together. I went directly to the easy chair and, oh, gosh, I feel so weird. And Kira came over and looked at me again and said, "You've had a stroke. Go to the doctor." A stroke? This isn't what a stroke looks like. And I don't even like doctors. Well, my resistance continued into the next day. I didn't get myself to Kaiser Emergency until about 4 in the afternoon. Stood in front of the check-in desk. "I think I've had a stroke." She jumps up and takes me back to the treatment rooms. And I had every test you can imagine. And finally, the doctor stands in front of me and says, "Ms. Edwards, you've had a stroke." They sent me home with a bastion of appointments and tests. There was the MIR test. There was a head doctor. There was the movement doctor, and on and on. Well, I did pass all their tests. I was trying to pass those tests. I was really trying. But if I'd been in a better state of mind, I would not have tried so hard, because I needed help and I didn't get any help. It was several months before I could communicate or felt comfortable in company. I continued to go to the network meetings and all the other things I did. It was, I didn't know what else to do. Nobody noticed that anything was going on for me, except a friend who said, "Is there something going on?" I don't think I answered her, actually. And then I went to visit my family in Montana. And my sister was just scrutinizing me, watching me to see how that stroke had affected me. And I had a way of starting a sentence and, without knowing how it was going to end, just to see if something interesting came out of my mouth. Sometimes nothing did, and the sentence went sprawling around. My sister says, "Finish your sentence. What are you saying?" I think I just laughed at her. But I know she was worried. Like, our mother had strokes. She had a stroke and then a lot of little strokes. And, you know, they just took her down to being a little crazy. And Gloria was afraid that that was happening to me. So a few years later, I go to see Gloria again. This time she's living in Arizona. And it all started when I forgot the name of her dog momentarily. She started watching me carefully. And you know how I hate that. I finally had to speak to the elephant in the room. Like, yeah, I do think differently. And you know, I forgot names even before the stroke. What I know about strokes is that your brain has to rewire so that I can do the things that I've always done. And this was really, you know, a gift in disguise, because now I'm more connected to my life. I'm more able to make things happen. And I know that I must do the things on my bucket list now. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Sandra. So now, would you take 1 minute of silence to write your notes to Sandra for the to evaluate the speech?
It's now been 1 minute.
Great, thank you for that. Our second speaker will be evaluated by Rosemary Sweeney, evaluating Catherine Kill. So Rosemary, would you announce the purpose of her speech and the project title?
Thank you so much. This evening, I have the pleasure of evaluating Toastmaster Kathleen as she presents a speech from the Visionary Communication Manual Level 3, Number 5, Connect with Storytelling. Her speech is entitled, The Snot-Nosed Kid Drops Her Story. It's very interesting. Her speech will be 5 to 7 minutes. And the purpose of her speech is for Toastmaster Kathleen to practice using a story within a speech or giving a speech that is a story. In completing this project, Toastmaster Kathleen focused on using stories in a speech or creating a speech that's a story. Toastmaster Kathleen, you may use any type of story, be it personal, well-known fiction, or one of your own creation. I will be listening for a well-organized speech that is a story or includes a story. Back to you, Toastmaster of the meeting.
Great, thank you for that.
I would,
Okay.
I'm sorry, I did change the name of the speech to be a little less ugly, and it's just called The Priceless Gift.
Okay. Kathleen Peel, The Priceless Gift. The Priceless Gift, Kathleen Peel. You have the podium.
Thank you. I'm still trying to absorb it days after the event. My sister and my brother-in-law, and my brother-in-law is also my palmistry teacher, came over for a special visit. They came in quiet yet momentous celebration, and they presented me with this enormous work. Ugh. Richard Unger's magnum opus, 18 pounds, 1,500 pages of the culmination of his life work, plus this big workbook. Let me give you some idea of what's in here. It is a university level training course, semester 1 in hand analysis. This is the modern system of hand analysis, bringing the millennia old knowledge of palmistry into present day practical service. Richard Unger was born to this work. Yes, he's always been ultra brilliant, but he didn't know really what to do with himself until one day he was poking around in a used bookstore and picked up one of those little palmistry books. Yeah, one of those silly little books that you and I have seen and discounted. And his innate genius saw it, came alive, took hold of him, and thus began over 50 years, like 55 years of furious, volcanic industry, reading every book printed in English and a great many research papers. He processed, analyzed, and then tested all these ideas and refined them by reading people's hands. This guy has read between 80 and 90,000 pairs of hands so far. He distilled the essence of the subject into a codifiable, useful system on how to live life meaningfully, how to learn from our insides, how to live meaningfully outside. Now comes the absolutely incredible story of what happened in a medical library 10 or 12 years after the beginning, the commencement of this life's work. He was reading a book on dermatoglyphics. Dermatoglyphics are the skin ridges and the glyphs of the ridges in the skin. And the book explained that the fingerprints appear at the 4th month of fetal growth in the womb. And get this, those glyphs and patterns in the hands are also found in nature where, get this, wave energy is passing through a denser medium. These patterns appear in nature where wave energy is passing through a denser medium. They gave examples in sand dunes, where the turbulence of the wind over the sand creates those ripples and ridges and patterns. Another example, the mud under lake water, same thing, those patterns. Another example, when electrical current runs through a chemical solution and the compounds precipitate out in those same wave patterns. And that struck the genius in Richard hard. He heard that idea that when wave energy passes through a denser medium, in this case, at 4 months of fetal development, these patterns appear. Ours is a world of duality where wave and mass energy are expressions of an ineffable field behind these expressions. Suddenly, in one instant, the whole key to the meaning in the fingerprints appeared to Richard. He calls it the soul's agenda. It reveals an intentional pattern of unfolding. And to be familiar with that pattern is like using a map and compass. You can go a lot quicker and easier. And that's why I read hands. It's why Sandra Edward reads hands. So when they took the trouble to come over and present me with his signed copy dedicated to me, I got all gobsmacked. He had set aside 50 copies to dedicate to influential people and all this from his first edition. And he dedicated number 8 to me. 8 is his favorite number. I don't know why it is his favorite number, but to me it describes infinity. It takes one loop into the ineffable and then loops back into the mundane and back out again and in. And this is what Richard's life is about. So why should I get all gobsmacked about it? Well, it kind of dredged up the belief that I wasn't good enough, blah, 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 you know, that stuff. And I'm still having to sit and allow that belief to melt into the facts of the present moment. It's like I'm walking out from behind barriers that I had thought of as protection, but which now I see have shaded my world. It's more free out here. And I feel more responsible too. Did you know that talent means weight? And Richard Talent is a huge, enormous weight, and he has to work freaking hard. My talents are smaller, but I still feel more responsible now. I'm still adjusting. We'll see where it goes. Thank you. And back to you, Mr.
Thank you for that, Kathleen. Okay, please take 1 minute of silence to write your notes and for the evaluator to evaluate the speaker. Great.
1 minute
Time
is
is up.
up.
Great. Thank you for that. Now we come to the fun part of the meeting, table topics. So Maureen, would you let us know what the time frame is for these speeches?
Yes, table topic timing is 1 minute. It's 1 to 2 minutes at the, I'm sorry, I've lost track of all my buttons here. At the 1 minute mark, I will show the green light. At the 1 minute and 30-second mark, I will show the yellow background. And at the 2 minute mark, I will show the red background. And they have up until 2 minutes and 30 seconds to complete officially within Toastmasters time.
Great. Thank you for that. All right. Our table topics master tonight is Michelle Pitacolis. Michelle, you got the podium.
Thank you so much, Isaac. And I'm going to turn to gallery view so that I can see who's out there and see who would like to take one of my questions. Do I have any hands? Because then I'm going to give you an opportunity to choose one of my many choices here. Anybody want to do a table topics tonight? Seema? Okay. Anybody else? Let's at least get 3. Carolyn?
Can we ask a guest?
Yes,
And
let's
Denise-
ask.
Denise
Yes.
is a guest, but she doesn't have a G in front of her name. So could somebody put a G in front of her name for guest?
Sure.
Great.
As though I don't have enough to do. Okay.
I didn't ask you.
No, I know.
We
But
have
I
a
did
Zoom
it
host,
anyway.
and then let them do it.
Good enough. Okay. So Denise, would you like to take up a table topics? Do
You're gonna
a,
have-
yes, great.
Let her know she'll have an example first. Yeah.
Yes, you're going to hear 2 other people first. I'm going to write the names down so I know. All right, so we're going
Are
to
there
start.
any other guests that want to give us a table topic?
Well, I can always check with them later after I go through the first 3.
Yeah.
So that we'll see how we're doing. And then if we still have time, I will reach out to a bunch of other people. Okay, so we're going to start out with Seema, who is our illustrious keynote speaker. Oh, I should number these. Hold on. I meant to do that. Who knew I had done so many? So Seema, from 1 to 10, choose a number.
5.
Okay, number 5. Thinking about writing your own script as choosing to empower yourself by doing what you feel is right for you, as opposed to following somebody else's script. When was it ever in your life better to heed the counsel of another rather than follow your own impulse? Did that ever happen to you? And if not, flip it around.
Yes, actually, when I was writing my first book, The Authorities, I had started writing my own script, like doing my own thing, and it turned out to be really long-winded and didn't really serve others. It just looked like a count of my history. And how boring is that? It was exciting to me because I could see it in writing, but that wasn't really going to serve others. So when I got involved with the anthology, I could follow a process, a step-by-step process that kept me focused on what I needed to do so I can get it done properly and completely without getting lost on those different tangents. It's like surfing on the internet. You start researching, you go down the rabbit hole, and 5 hours later, you still haven't completed what you've done. So this was the time that I think it really helped me heed other people's advice and actually getting something done. Versus, I mean, the times that I've done really well with my own script is just in terms of what is my next step, just tuning in intuitively and listening to that versus following someone else's advice. Oh, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. That's what I've been doing up till now. And since I took that control in my own hands, life has been much better.
Seema, great way to handle that question. And what a great idea. Yeah, when we try and do this all by ourselves, sometimes we get into a lot of trouble if we don't know what we're doing. And so, yes, sometimes you have to take a page out of somebody else's script. Thanks very much. Next, I want to call up Carolyn Douglas. And Carolyn, give me a number from 1 to 10, but not 5.
I love number 1.
Number 1. All righty. The question is, in childhood, we are often pressured by our parents to fit in and be good, i.e. follow somebody else's script. Share a time when you chose to follow your own script against the desires of your parents.
Thank you so much, Table Topics Master, because I have the very opposite experience as a child. I was the weird one. I was the one out of the 7 who was always lunching out into the deep and having my parents to say, stop, come back. I would like for you to do it this way. And at that time, I didn't know that my creativity was flowing through me. I was willing to try new things. I would have the imagination for it, and I felt that I could do something, and I would go for it. But you know, when your mom sees her daughter getting ready to climb a tree and jump out of a tree, or climb to the roof of the house to follow her brothers in jumping off and the stunts and tumbling, mom wants to change that. So I found my parents would actually say to me, no, don't do that. This is the way little girls are supposed to act. This is the way little girls are supposed to do this. And I also heard my parents say to me, you always volunteer. Why don't you give someone else a chance to do that instead of you? So what I learned out of that was to begin to step back. Instead of always throwing the hand up being first, I would kind of hold back and wait to see if somebody else would not. And if nobody would volunteer, then I would inch the hand up. So I learned the opposite of that, you know, how to not be first. But now that I am an adult, now that I have been in the world environment, now that I've had to compete, the hand goes up. That is the creativity that's flowing through me. Back to you, Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Carolyn. That was a perfect example of how your parents were trying to pressure you to fit in and be the good girl. And you followed your own script pretty much. But then you did try and pull it back because you were influenced, because we are influenced. I loved your story. We are now going to turn to Denise. Denise, are you ready to choose a question? Unmute yourself so I can hear you. No, there you go. No, you're still muted. Try again. Try again. You almost were there and then you hit it again. So just hit it once. Nope, that's not working. Oh, there we go. Okay, Denise, from 1 to 10, but not 1 or 5. Choose your
8.
number. 8. Excellent. If you could rewrite the script of your life, what might you want to change?
Well, I believe that you can't unring those bells. So as far as rewriting the script, well, I could go back and I could say to me, now looking back at all of that as I move forward, listen more, use less words, but still use a lot of words when you really need to, but then sit back and kind of let it mellow. So yeah, if you could rewrite your script. It's funny because I love writing scripts, so I think that scripts are constantly being rewritten, just in those patterns that we have and the things that we do next, kind of doing the math and figuring out what worked or what didn't work. I sort of believe we're all connected in that. I loved the 8 because I believe 8 is infinity and it's everything. As much as I believe that it's equal to 0, it's equal to nothing, because sometimes everything is nothing and nothing is everything, or I don't know. But the point is, well, I don't know, it's a good point. But I like to know things, and well, self-care is the thing that I would tell myself to do first. That's it. If I could rewrite my script, I would say, Denise, take care of yourself first. That is the most selfless thing you can do.
That is beautiful, Denise. That was a really, really great takeaway from that particular question. I actually have found myself rewriting my story through Toastmasters and telling speeches. And the more speeches I give, the more I rewrite my story. It's not that I have to go back and change anything. I just have to change my perspective. So thank you so much, Denise. I'm going to put my gallery view on again. And Elios, did you want to speak?
I think he's unable to speak. He had
Okay,
texted
I thought I
earlier.
saw a message from him saying that I could invite. Oh, no, that was feel free to visit his home club. Okay, and let's see, who else do we have? We have John. We have, who else do we have as a guest? We
got it. Albina and Judith.
Judith? Albina, or you mean Alpina?
Alpina.
Alpina, how about you? You want to do a table topics?
Sure.
Awesome. Okay, so from 1 to 10, but not 1, 5, 8, and what was the last one I did? Oh,
I'll go
maybe
with
that was
2.
it. 2. Okay. So Alpina, share a story of the ways you have been true to yourself and living your own script. Give us a really nice, juicy story about standing up for yourself and being yourself.
Okay. Well, thanks for this question. And I think what comes to mind right now is my wanderlust. I am a wanderer at heart. And I just got back from Europe, where I spent 2.5 weeks, where I just left on an impulse. So I just decided to up and go. And I was burnt out from work. I had spent 2 months working my butt off, and I just knew that I needed to have a change. So I decided within days, and I took off and I went to Europe, and I spent 2.5 weeks going to different places, which were sort of a spur of the moment planning. So I went to France, I went to Portugal, and I went to Barcelona. And I felt like it really reinvigorated my soul, and I just felt so alive and so creative. And I'm back and jet lagged, but my heart just feels happy. And it was just one of the most beautiful times that I was able to take for myself. Somebody spoke about self-care, and that was my way of taking care of myself. So
That
thank you so
is-
much for this question.
That's so inspiring. And that's so true that we get burned out. And we actually, it's like we're automobiles. We have to put more gas in the tank. And one of those ways is to do something that is kind to ourselves, that rejuvenates us. So I love your story. Thank you so much. I think we have time for one more. Does anybody else want to jump in there? John, do you want to jump in, or Judith, do you want to take a shot?
Sure. Number
Okay.
4.
Okay, number 4. How have others held you back from doing what felt right to you? And then have they ever, and in the end, did that turn out to be a good thing or not so good?
Going back to a question that you had earlier about the parents' influence, I learned one thing, that my parents, or my mother rather, decided my future profession for me, as opposed to myself. Since I come from a esthetician family of my grandmother and my mother, and they thought that I should follow that. However, my choice would have been very different. I used to write very early age of my life. I have tons of short stories I wrote to myself, so I wanted to be a journalist, not an esthetician. But as it turned out, I was actually a journalist for a couple of years in Hungary, where I am from. And ultimately, I did become an esthetician. And it turns out I was good at this, but it turns out in my life, I ended up coming to the United States. So all this fight that I had with my mother, that I I didn't want to do it, turned out that when I came to the United States, a Hungarian trained esthetician was a sought out commodity. So there it was. So I did spend my many years of my life as an esthetician, as a speaker, and I also as a writer. I did work on a book, did not actually happen. But yes, sometimes you fight things, sometimes you do things, and sometimes you combine all these things that you are fighting with, and it works out at the end.
Judith, I loved your story. That is such a great story of that reversal, and how that sometimes happens to us, that we resist something and then we finally find that the universe is pushing us in that direction. Okay, well, here we go. And I can totally relate to you in terms of my own story, but that's for another time. Are we done?
Yes, yes, you have one more.
I have time for one more. All
Yes.
right. So one more. How about you, John? Do you want to do one?
Yeah. Because
right.
I muted the mic.
Okay, good. So John, we've got, you can do 3, 6, 7, 9, or 10.
Excuse me, can you put a G in front of John's name? One of the Zoom
Yes,
posts,
I'll do that.
please. Thank you so much.
John?
10.
10. Oh, good. Good choice. Easy to remember which one that was. When is it most important for you to collaborate or even compromise in writing the next chapter in your script?
The best time to compromise is when the team goals, the team objective is being threatened. That when we cannot achieve the team objective and the team goals, we need to meet with the team members so that the team can come together and we can find a common solution moving forward. I quote an example. When I was District 51 governor in 2002-2003, 20 years ago,
This region was affected by the bird flu we call the SARS. My goal was to be President Distinguished #1 in the world, #1 in the world. That was my goal. But I have to forget about that goal for 4 weeks in order to listen to our members' view. Members say, John, you need to travel around the district, 7 countries, despite having SARS. And my friend Cindy, in the flight from Kuching to Singapore to Jakarta, only 5 passengers on board the flight of a Boeing 737-800. So you could see I have to compromise. I could not stay at home here. So I traveled around the district during that 4 weeks. And at the end of the term, because the members request me to move around, meeting the members, the top 3 officers also move around, meeting the members. When Gavin Blackie called me on July the 18th, 2003, we were #1 in the world again, 5 times in a row, District 51, and we were reformed into 2 districts at that time. Over to you.
Wow, John, that is such an amazing story and so perfect, and also very inspiring to me because I've become a club coach and I'm learning that, of course, you have to get your team on board. You have to listen to them. You have to reach out. So thank you so much. I found all of your speeches very creative. I'm sorry, I forgot to remind you that the word of the day is creativity, but you were all superbly creative. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Great. Thank you for that, Michelle. All right. The important part of the meeting, the evaluations. So now I'm going to turn it over to our general evaluator, Cassandra Garabedian.
Okay, now we call for this time for the timer to give our evaluation times and then introduces the evaluator. So Maury.
Okay. The timing for the speeches was Seema Giri was 15 minutes, 15 minutes.
The time for the evaluation.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. So I was confused. Okay. The evaluations are 2 to 3 minutes each. At the 2-minute mark, you will see the green background. At the yellow, at 2 minutes 30 seconds, you will see the yellow background, and at 3 minutes, you will see the red background. And then you have up until 3 minutes and 30 seconds to complete within Toastmasters guidelines.
Thank you for that, Maureen. And now back to you, Isaac.
Okay. The first evaluator will be Rosalind Khan.
That's right. That's what it says. Go back to you, and then you introduce Rosalind.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. It's wonderful to be here, Toastmaster, and welcome guest, and especially I'd like to thank Sandra. So Sandra, you know, you and I are both storytellers, so I really loved your storytelling ability and the way that you started off with a bang. And I can see there, it's a nice Sunday morning. I'm sitting at my house and getting ready for my networking meeting. I'm all excited doing this and doing that and so on and so forth. And when you left the house and you got to the party and everyone was asking you questions, you stopped. And I'm like, uh-oh, is she having another stroke? Is she having another stroke? Oh my God, what's going on? And I didn't know if that was part of the plan or something else. And so one of the things that I've been told over and over again is never apologize, never apologize. And you could almost turn that into a joke and say, well, ladies and gentlemen, this is what it's like when you have a stroke, is you're at this thing. Because I wanted to know what the people said. I thought obviously someone was going to notice something was wrong with you. And we got segued into another piece of the story there. But you had great abilities to give different people voices, to tell their stories, to tell the perspective of where it came from their side. And you brought us to the end, and here's my suggestions. You had notes and you forgot to have them. Paper's always my good friend. Never hurts to have papers. Write down those keywords, because when you get lost and you don't know where you're at, it's always good to have that piece of paper that you can look back to. But a good storyteller is a good storyteller because they always keep you on edge, wanting you to have more to go ahead and listen to. And I know the next time, because when I give a speech, I can't wait to go ahead and do it again so I can make sure I do it better the next time. Sandra, thank you so much for a lovely story. And I'm glad to hear that you're okay. And make sure you follow what the doctor says. Remember, there's good stuff out there for you. All righty. Thank you so much.
Next evaluate. Thank you so much, Rosalind.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Next evaluator, we have Rosemary Sweeney. Rosemary?
Yes, I'm right there.
Okay, my dear, you're next.
Toastmaster Kathleen, I must say from the onset, you achieved your objective to deliver a well-organized speech that's a story. You had me from the onset with your props. You knew the weight of the book, you knew the length of the book, you knew what was in the book. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed when you told me the author's name, Richard August, and later I learned how excited he made you feel. And the introduction was very, very interesting. Imagine your title of your speech was changed on the 11th hour. So I was like, okay, I'm going to get something. I learned about that gentleman in that story, that he is a genius. So that was the intro. All of this was in the introduction of your speech. I learned so much. I knew when you came to the board because you spoke about his work, his breakthrough, and the passion in your voice prepared me for your transition to yourself as a palm reader. And you too would be hiding behind certain things, but now you're out. And I learned that you're feeling so free now. I need to speak with you. I even said I must speak with Kathleen, so probably I will know how free I can be. I heard the passion in your voice in that story when linking the number 8 book to infinity, and how you described infinity. You had great gestures, great hand gestures. For example, another example, when you spoke of the wave pattern, and when you received that book, your reaction was priceless. I just knew that book meant so much to you by the way you reacted, even not receiving that book now, but just thinking of the time you received that book. What I would have loved to hear would be what happened in the breakthrough, or when a palm is read. What happens? What is the individual reaction when the information is given to them? Also, I would have loved to see certain images, probably a PowerPoint, or given the example you gave in your speech, I would have loved to see an image of that. The sand dunes and your conclusion. What a conclusion. That was like a cliffhanger. Although I knew the conclusion was coming, I wanted to hear more. And you gave me the assurance that I will hear more, because your words were, we'll see how it goes. Overall, I loved your speech. I loved the introduction where you caught my attention right away, then gave me the information about the writer, the palm reader, and how it has affected you and infected you and put you on such a roller coaster that right now you are no longer hidden. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you so much, Rosemary. And now we've come to the section where we like to get a call on our reports. So can we get that information, please? Timer and the evaluation times, please.
Yes, now I can tell. I've already told Seema, she already had the sneak peek. She was 15 minutes, 51 seconds. It's amazing. Sandra Edwards was 7 minutes and 42 seconds, and Kathleen was 7 minutes and 43 seconds. Wow, talk about same time.
Right.
The table topics timing were: the first person, Seema, was 1:40. Carolyn Douglas was 2:13. Denise was 1:48. Alpana was 1:43. Judith was 1:49. And John was 2:19. So everyone there was within timing. Rosalind Kahn's evaluation was 1:56 seconds, and Rosemary Sweeney's was 3 minutes and 15 seconds. So I would say all around, we did a bang up job on timing, and it shows because we are actually ahead of schedule with the meeting today. Back to you, Cassandra.
Thank you. How about Miss Sally Race? Can we get a report on the grammarian, please? Sally?
Here we are.
Okay, take it away.
Thank you so much. This was an interesting day because I didn't hear creativity used very much. I had, let's see which one. Isaac used creativity once, and Seema G creativity once. But Kathleen used the most wonderful words. Gobsmacked, volcanic, industry, and certifiable. I loved all those words. I could just swim in them. They were so rich. Just a minute. Did you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I wasn't quite sure.
Yeah, I'm listening to you. I'm listening to you here.
Thank you. Seema used 2 uhs, 4 ums, and 1 I think. Then we had Seema used unstoppable. I love that word.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's, let's see. Oh, I'll put Opena used which I call a not exactly fitting word, and wanderlust. I love that word. Okay, so that covers it pretty much. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So our word of the day was
creativity,
and our theme was, come on people, let's say it.
Basically writing your own script.
That's right. And when we write our own script, it's like a blank canvas. Every day is a blank canvas, and we can start and use it just as we will. Can start all over. It's a new day. It's a fresh day. It's like a canvas, and we can paint it, draw it any way we want. It's a fresh new day. You can pick yourself up, brush yourself off, and start all over again.
That's a song, I think.
So today was really magical for me. Just seeing how we put it together. We were missing people, but one thing about Toastmasters here, we come together and it all works out. Look at today's meeting. It was alive. It was magical. We had the keynote speaker speaking about, Seema spoke about her book, writing a book, and she invited us all to share in that process. And it's not like you don't have to start out writing a book, a solo book. You can do an anthology where all the creative processes are working together. And it's an outline where you don't feel all that pressure that you're just writing it alone. It's writing it together. So you have that. Thank you, Seema, for that. It was really great. I really enjoyed it. And then we had Kathleen, with the reading of the poems that takes you into the, I call it the spiritual world, because there's a power greater, a force that's greater than ourselves. So I love that part of it. And then we had, the other speaker that spoke, Sandra, so heartfelt. And I love Sandra's stories because she gets into them and she's just so matter of fact about it. I just love it. And everyone that spoke, you have to be creative to be able to dig in there and tell their stories and to be able to reach us and to connect, and have us to connect with their stories. So yes, be creative. Write your script, tell your story. So thanks, everyone. And thank you, everyone, for joining in and making this happen. As you know, it takes a village to put this off, to put such a production off. And we used sometimes, people are doing dual roles. Isaac, thank you. You're wonderful. And so everyone, they pulled it off and working together. So I'll take it back to who's next on here that has to say their piece here.
Isaac.
Yes.
Well, we will take it to the DPE, Kathleen.
Kathleen,
let us know what roles we need to fill.
All right, that's Kathleen next. So thank you for the opportunity to be in this position today.
Great job, Cassandra.
Thank you.
Cassandra, it was a beautiful job. There's something about Ms. Cassandra that just brings you right to the heart of the matter. And I agree with you, Cassandra, that creativity is easier and more natural when we work together. And so let's see who is gonna sign up for the session in 2 weeks at the same time slot. And we have a very interesting, very exciting bit of news from Rosemary. She's going to give us our speeches, and we need an evaluator for Rosemary.
And what's the date on that? 2 weeks?
That's the 17th of October.
At
Thank
5:30
you.
p.m. Okay.
I
That's
want
right.
to. I want to be general evaluator again. I want to perfect this.
Well, you know, Queen Maureen is so sharp that she already went into the agenda and signed up. She was the only one, Queen Maureen. So
Because when I got a text from you, I decided to follow directions and take something off of my to-do list that's been there for a month.
Okay, so you have.
I am happy to turn the role of general evaluator over to you, Cassandra. It would be my honor. So I will
how
step
sweet.
back and I will be an evaluator.
Oh, if you have it, that's fine. I just put this in there, and I want to just keep the momentum going so that I just get it.
I think that's brilliant. I think that is the best idea going. So Cassandra, on the 17th, you're general evaluator. And so Ms. Maureen, would you care to be the evaluator for our wonderful Rosemary Sweeney, or?
I would be happy to do that.
Excellent.
Thank you, Maureen.
You're welcome. So I'll take myself off general evaluator and I'll let you know when it's done, and then you can do that. You can sign up for it.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And Ms. Sally Reyes, you want to unmute
I wanted to let you know I've signed up for table topics.
Oh, thank you very much. Very good. I'm
And
very
thank you,
happy.
Michelle, for the outline.
Oh, you're very welcome, Cassandra.
Now, for Rosalind, Ms. Rosalind Khan, would you care to be our timer? Are you?
Can I do the general evaluator? I'm not very good at time.
The general evaluator is taken.
Oh, did I
Would
miss
you
that?
like to be the Toastmaster of the day?
Sure.
Wonderful.
Cool.
Kathleen, do you need another speaker?
No, Rosemary is going to give us a big, rich, engaging speech. There will be question and answer. It's going to be a very interesting session.
So you only have one
That's
prepared
correct.
speech. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. And let's see, Mr. Isaac, we have Zoom host, we have timer, we have grammarian. What would you prefer to do, Mr. Isaac?
I will take the timer.
Okay. And Mr. Curtis Greaves, you know what I'm going to ask you again.
I was just
And it-
about to jump in.
Sorry?
I was just about to jump in and volunteer.
Okay, well, I totally love, I feel so well cared for when you are our Zoom host. And I want a speech out of you.
Soon, soon.
Good. Oh, thank you so much, Curtis. I'll put you down for Zoom host. All right. Who would like to be our grammarian for the 17th? Sandra, thank you, darling. And just like that, we are done.
Isn't that amazing? Excellent. Well done, Kathleen.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful.
Okay, great.
And
No, I was just going to turn things over to our president to close us out.
Awesome. I'm filling in for Tala because he's on an airplane, or maybe he's landed already, but he had some business, so he had to travel. And that was a wonderful meeting. I just want to note, Sally, we had 3 people that stepped up and said, I said the word of the day, which was creativity. So 3 more people added creativity. Carolyn added 2 creativities. Michelle 1, and who was the other? Oh, Alpana. Alpana added 1. Awesome. Great. Awesome. So I would like to hear who has a takeaway. What are you taking away with you today? What did you learn?
What did I learn?
Sally, would you like to share?
Well, I was asking myself the question. I learned I had to sit here with a dog crying every 5 minutes and ignore it and try to stay with you. That was a challenge.
You did great. I didn't even hear the dog.
That's good.
Would you like a chocolate? Would that cheer you up? A
Yes,
virtual
it
one?
would. Marzipan and
Marzipan, with dark chocolate or milk chocolate?
Milk chocolate.
Milk chocolate and marzipan coming your way. 1, 2, 3, whoosh.
Thank you.
Lovely. And our guest, Denise, what are you taking away with you? Oh, you got to hit the mute. Oh, there you are.
I'm taking away with me from today that I have a lot to learn and that I'm exactly where I'm meant to be, doing this here right now, just watching all of you. I love the pageantry of it. I love the creativity, the math of it all, just everything. It's really cool. And I think last month I had said that it was 30 years ago when I first heard of the word Toastmaster, and it was after my father had sent me to a Dale Carnegie class, and he was a Toastmaster. And it's taken me this long, but I thought, wow, this is a really cool group. And I learned a lot today. So I'm taking away a lot. So thank you.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. And would you like a virtual chocolate? No sugar, no calories, no guilt.
No, calories and guilt on. What do I want? You know what that minty thing that's covered with dark chocolate. What's that called?
Thin mint. I think it's thin mint. Those little squares. Yeah. Oh, here they come. 1, 2, 3. Whoosh. Enjoy your minty chocolate. Awesome. Hi, Sandra. Yeah. What are you taking away with you? Want to unmute yourself?
So I was very inspired by Simi, and I really was inspired to put together some of my things into a book. And so that is what I'm taking away with me today, is that little inspiration towards doing more writing and pulling it all together, and maybe getting her help if I'm serious about this. So that's that's what I learned.
And that's another item on your bucket list, right? Congratulations, Sandra. And would you like a chocolate, a virtual chocolate?
Barcelona is on my bucket list, and someone who was speaking said she'd gone to Barcelona this week. I said, "Oh." It reminded me I wanted to go to Barcelona.
Awesome. So you can get some tips from Alpana.
Yes.
Great. And what kind of chocolate would you like, or dessert?
Oh, chocolate with almonds would be good.
Chocolate, a darker or milk chocolate?
Dark
chocolate and almonds. Woohoo! A cure coming your way. 1, 2, 3. Whoosh! Awesome. Enjoy. And we sure enjoyed your story, Sandra. I'm so glad I got to hear it. Awesome. Awesome. And who else would like to share? Do we have any other guests? John, would you like to share, John Lau? Maybe he's on his microphone.
Hi.
No, here he is. Hi.
What is the subject matter, boss? Share with me the subject matter, because I was focusing on writing a journal article to Journal of Criminology.
Oh, all right. I know you're still working on your exams, right?
It is 10:50 here in the morning on Tuesday. No, my exam is over.
Oh.
My exam was over on November? No, on September 15. I'm waiting for the result announcement on November the 1st. Pray for me that I pass all the papers.
And see if you pass the bar. We will.
No,
we will.
I don't plan to do the bar exam. I'm planning to take up arbitration, because if you are an arbitrator, you can make more money. If I take my bar exam, I would like to become a criminal lawyer. Then that makes a lot of money also.
Great. What are you taking away with you from today's meeting?
Today's meeting? I apologize that I joined late, because I went for a breakfast appointment with my friends. And when I'm back here, I say, hey, Cindy Scott has a meeting. So I looked through Leadership Worldwide WhatsApp group and I found the link. I check in.
Damn.
And normally when I check in, I found that, no, normally when I check in, I always mute my mic. And I found that today's meeting was really very interesting. You have the work of the day because I joined late. I have no idea about the work of the day. Perhaps in future, you can advertise the work of the day in the meeting notification, so that if I join late, I know the work of the day and I will use the work of the day. Now, this is a suggestion, not a request, a diplomatic suggestion. Besides that, I thought this meeting is wonderful. As usual, everybody was cheerful, particularly Cindy Scott, always smiling. And if your mood is down, I said, if your mood is down, I said, join this club meeting. And Cindy will bring the happiness, the joy, and the cheers in our life. Thank you, Cindy.
Awesome. Would you like a dessert? I know it's still morning time for you, but chocolate maybe for after lunch. A virtual chocolate or a virtual dessert.
No, I like a real chocolate.
I'll FedEx one to you. What kind?
You owe me one chocolate and to be delivered in Bahamas.
Ah, yes. Next summer in August.
Yes.
What kind of chocolate do you want? How about dark Belgian chocolate?
Well,
or Ghirardelli chocolate from San Francisco?
Yes. That's the one. That's the one.
Ghirardelli chocolate. I would bring you a hot fudge sundae, but it would probably melt on the way.
Thank you.
You'll have to come and
It's a
eat
great
hot
honor
fudge
to
sundae
know
with me.
you and great honor to be affiliated with you.
Great. So here it comes. You'll get a virtual version and then an in-person version next summer in the Bahamas at the Toastmasters International Convention. 1, 2, 3, whoosh! Great. Anyone else want to share? Elios, are you available?
I think Curtis had his hands raised.
Is Curtis? Yeah, Curtis. Please.
Yes, thanks a lot. I just wanted to actually to say thanks to Sandra for her presentation this evening for me. I actually have a friend 3 weeks ago, he was feeling a little strange and he checked himself into hospital and he was actually at the beginning stages of a stroke as well. He deteriorated pretty quickly, but he's on the way to recovery now, and it's encouraging. It's just encouraging to see persons that would have recovered from these things. So my thoughts are with him. I'm just thanking you, Sandra, for that little note this evening.
Yes.
Welcome.
Yes.
You're very welcome. Mm-hmm.
And we pray that your friends recovers quickly and fully.
Thanks.
Great. Would you like a chocolate?
Yes, why not? I'm always up for chocolates. I'll take all the calories and all the guilt along with it. Yeah, something minty with dark chocolate.
Ooh, minty with dark chocolate. Ooh. Okay, and we're gonna give one for your friend too. Okay, you want 2 mints? Chocolate mints?
Yes.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. Woo! Here they come.
Got it. Thank you.
Enjoy. Awesome. And Elios is busy for you to, well, you already shared. Let's see, Maureen, would you like to share?
Sure. I thoroughly enjoyed all of the speeches today. They were all moving and inspiring, and I loved hearing Sandra, and your story was really gripping to me. I was leaning in. When you were quiet, I actually thought it was a really amazing pause. I was like, she is doing whatever she's doing here. It was amazing. So I loved it. And Kathleen, I've always enjoyed you as a speaker, and now I see you, it's at some level you have elevated into fluid and engaging and storytelling and bringing forth your business. So I just see you really integrated into even a more amazing speaker than you were before. So yeah, it's been a pleasure being here today.
Awesome. And would you like a chocolate?
Yes, I would like white chocolate with nougat in it, peanut nougat in the middle.
Here it comes. 1, 2, 3, whoosh. And Alpana, I think we have time for one more. Alpana, do you want to share with us? Or did she have to go? Oh, she was jet logged and had to go. Okay, that's it for tonight. It's right on the dot. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week. And we're going to have our celebration of our 2-year anniversary on October 24th. See you then. Bye-bye for now. Bye.
Cassandra, I already took myself off a general evaluator on Easy Speak, so it's ready for you.
Thank you.
Sure.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye now.